We're talking with JP Ricciardi here, and he is a man of baseball. We've spoken to him before. Worked every possible job in baseball, coach, scout, but most notably 8 years as the GM of the Toronto Blue Jays. And where did you graduate high school, JP?
I went to, well, it's not in existence anymore, but at the time it was Peter Marion.
St. Peter Marion, that's it.
Unfortunately, Holy Name of St. Peter's are no longer with us. So I guess that just goes to show you how old I am.
Well, you're a man of baseball, and you do some work with the Red Sox. And I just want to ask you your thoughts on the upcoming Boston Red Sox season. And, you know, they've made some moves. And the latest one seemed to be a little bit of a surprise, at least to me anyway. It was Christian Campbell, a guy who just 2 years ago was playing for Georgia Tech. Now he's going to be their second baseman on opening day. And that means I guess they're going to move Bregman to third. And then, you know, I think we all knew Devers was going to be the DH. Right. But, you know, are you surprised by that move?
I think they liked Campbell all the way from the beginning. I think it was his job to lose. I think, you know, it's funny with organizations when they've got their mindset on something, you know, they give a player every opportunity to fail. But I think they threw any kind of spring statistics out the window on him. And I think they just believe in the player. And I think they're comfortable with him being in that spot. And one thing about the big leagues, no one's doing anybody a favor. They wouldn't put him there if they didn't think he was going to make their club better. So I think they know their club really well, and Cora's comfortable with him. And, you know, they're going to be able to protect him in that lineup. So there's a lot of good things for the kid to settle in. I personally would have liked to have seen him play a little bit more in AAA because I don't think he had a big taste there. But like I said, they know the player better than I do. And, you know, they obviously feel like he's ready to break camp with them and be that type of player. So congratulations to the kid. And,
yeah.
And I like I said, he's in a good situation lineup-wise.
So there's a neat little story about how Alex Cora told him he was going to be there opening day. He said he asked him about, you know, how many players from Georgia Tech, where this kid was playing just 2 years ago, made it to the major leagues, and he was talking about it. He said, "Well, you can just go ahead and add yourself to that list," which that's a cool little story, you know. And I was
the nice part about our business is when you get to do that.
Yeah.
The bad part about our business is when you have to tell them they're going the other direction.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been on both ends of it, but that's a nice way to do it for Cora. Obviously, Veritek and Garcia Parra are two Georgia Tech alums that played both for the Red Sox and Georgia Tech. So he's joining a pretty eclectic group there.
Have you ever had the chance to tell a player that they were moving up, and did you do it in a little creative way, or what did that feel like? Because like you said, that's like one of the best parts of the job, of that particular job.
Yeah, what I used to do, though, is I let the manager do it. And if it was a pitcher, I let the manager and the pitching coach do it because they're going to be with the player all the time. And, you know, unfortunately, when you're in charge of something, you have to deal with the worst stuff more than you have to deal with the good stuff. Mm. So whenever we sent the player down or had to make a tough decision, I was in the room for that. I rather would have delivered the bad news, which is what I ended up doing more than. Eesh. But, you know, eventually you get over to the player when he's getting sent up. You know it. You're the one who made the decision. So you go up to him after and just have a private conversation with him. But the initial one, I thought it was important that the manager did it.
And so I guess that means we get to see Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer maybe on Friday, starting out with the Red Sox here in Worcester. I'm very excited to see Roman Anthony. Heard a lot of talk about it, about him.
Well, he played last year in Worcester for a little bit. And I fortunately got to scout him when he was a free agent in Florida. And I've really, really liked him from the first time I saw him. And it's been really fun to see him continue to grow as a player. I think the one thing that jumped out at me the most with Anthony was how much bigger and stronger he got in the course of a couple of years. So he's going to be a very good player. I think, you know, it's only a matter of time, not if, it's only a matter of when he's in the big leagues playing on an everyday basis for the Red Sox. And I think it's the same with Meyer, too. You know, he got to AAA, but he didn't play any games because he was hurt. So I think it's important that he gets some seasoning in AAA. But like I said, both of those guys, they'll be in Boston at some point.
And finally, I want to ask you if you saw Buster Olney's article saying that the Red Sox are uniquely qualified, his words, to beat the Dodgers in the World Series. Now, I think he's just trolling us, but he cites the changes in the starting rotation. He says Garrett Crochet's power lefty that'll be good against the Dodgers lineup. He says Walker Buehler's got a chip on his shoulder, wants to beat his old team, and he says that that our starting lineup is really good. What do you think about those words?
Well, I think first of all you got to get there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The challenge is getting there. But you know what history has showed us in any 7-game series, whether it's hockey, basketball, or baseball, you don't have to be the best team to win it. You have to be playing your best. And I remember in 1988, we lost to the Dodgers, and we had a far superior team than the Dodgers. But Earl Hershiser pitched 2 great games and totally stymied us when I was with Oakland. And that's all it takes. So if Crochet could get the ball a couple of times and be able to nullify him, but I wouldn't be putting the cart in front of the horse yet, because you still got to get through Baltimore, the Yankees, Toronto. It's still a tough division. The American League could be tough at times. And you never know. I think the one thing I like about the Red Sox more this year than ever is they have more depth, and I think the depth is they're going to be able to handle if someone gets hurt or someone goes down for an extended period of time. And that's when you got a pretty strong organization, when you have someone you can dip down and bring up and help. So I think they've got a few things going. I like what their team looks like. I like what they did in the winter. I wouldn't be surprised if they were a playoff team. I'm just not ready to predict them being in the World Series yet.
Right. The season hasn't even started yet, for crying out loud, Buster Olney.
Right. The next thing you do, you'll be talking about the Patriots being in the Super Bowl.
Oh, stop. You're going to jinx it, JP. You know how it works around here. Jeez, oh, man. All right, JP Ricciardi, thank you. And then, so the Brushback podcast still going, and
yeah, we're on a new format. It's called The Real Voices of the Game. It's under that heading, but it is the Brushback with JP. We had a nice segment this morning. We've been doing probably 6 or 7. We've probably done more than that with this new group. So it's out there, and it's going good. It's on. You can get it anywhere you stream. You can get it. So hopefully we got a ton of listeners now. We got over 140,000 subscribers.
Nice. And
it's going good. So hopefully we'll keep growing the list. And we're sponsored by Cornerstone Bank and by the Worcester Bravehearts, so we get a nice boost from them, and they've been great. So anyway, all good.
Awesome. JP, always a pleasure talking with you, and go Sox, and thanks for your insights.
All right, take care, Mike.